With the events over the last 24 to 48 hours, there is a new push on banning certain pistols, and it's kind of odd that it happens right after the pistol brace final rule was dropped by the ATF. I want to show you something you're going to see more often, some terminology that they're going to try to use, because we all need to know about this going forward if we're going to stop it. I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that's Aventon. Aventon makes some of the best e-bikes on the planet. I have had mine for almost a year now, and it's a great option to tool around the town, head on a little trip and save a little gas money with costs of fuel still astronomically high. My kids absolutely love it because they don't have to pedal going up hills. It's a great option. They have several styles of e-bikes available. It's a superior product at a great price point. For more information, check out the link below. I want to thank Aventon for being a friend of the family because my kids will not let me use the item. They just keep using my e-bike, and it's pretty cool. Check out Aventon with the link down below. Guys and gals, let's talk about the push to ban semi-automatic pistols based off what they look like. Oogie boogie. We know that the ATF dropped the pistol brace rule. I've done a couple videos on that and have told you about some fatal flaws that were uncovered by people much smarter than me, attorneys, etc. And you should know about that. There'll be 2 videos pinned above, and for those who aren't watching on a computer or on mobile, I'll also put those 2 videos in the description because you need to know about them because they exist and they're real. I also want you to know about this because this terminology has been showing up. You know, it's been here for a while, but it's showing up more and more and more. And I noticed it again on a filing that was submitted Friday in a court case that is looking to stop or to get a preliminary injunction on the assault weapon ban in Highland Park, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Now, here's the first page of the filing, and the case is the National Association for Gun Rights versus the City of Highland Park, Illinois. And NAGR is looking to have an injunction against the Highland Park assault weapon ban and magazine ban. And we know that post New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, the standard is text, history, and tradition. If the infringement at question is not in the text of the Second Amendment, then in the clear text, the plain text, then it must be in the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation around 1791 when the Second Amendment was adopted. And we know time and time again the anti-gunners have been losing cases because there were no such things as telling the patriots that you can't have these items that you used to liberate us from England. Now, we've moved on, and many will say that our country has grown and advanced, although I think in many ways it has actually had a recession on morals and stuff like that. But the fact remains, there's a big push to ban everything we have, specifically lately, AK and AR style pistols. And with the item that was used within the last 24 to 48 hours in California that has all of the gun control, the push has been reignited by all of the gun groups. Just go on, the anti-gun groups, just go on Twitter and you can see them all going crazy, tagging all kinds of legislators to try to get another ban established in Congress. You're going to see things like dangerous and unusual. And that is a term that has been around for a while, and you've seen it in cases such as Bruin and Heller and Miller, US v. Miller and McDonald and stuff like that. And dangerous and unusual is let's call it for what it is. It's a way that the government was able to ban these dangerous and unusual weapons such as sawed-off shotguns, etc., because they did so much damage and they were easily concealable and stuff like that. Well, after Bruin, the anti-gunners have been scrambling for ways in which they can reestablish their perceived dominance and get stuff taken away from us, the law-abiding. They never do anything to stop the criminal because criminals don't follow the law, thus the term criminal, and they're always going to criminal. Which brings me back to this dangerous and unusual. In this filing that was released Friday by Highland Park and their attorneys, who are being also assisted by attorneys of Brady, they brought up dangerous and unusual. And I'm going to show you a couple paragraphs, nothing in detail, nothing crazy, I will link this filing below if you want to see it more, but check this out. They say, in fact, when the Supreme Court has analyzed prohibitions on specific types of weapons, it has upheld them, with the explanation that the Second Amendment only covers some types of weapons. In U.S. v. Miller, the court rejected a Second Amendment challenge to an indictment relating to short-barreled shotguns, and held that such shotguns are not protected by the Second Amendment. Later, Heller emphasized that the basis for Miller's decision upholding the government ban was that the type of weapon at issue received no Second Amendment protection. The Second Amendment right, whatever its nature, extends only to certain types of weapons. Under the framework established in Heller, and particularly in Bruin, the key question at step 2 is whether America's history includes a tradition of firearm restrictions analogous to bans on assault weapons like Highland Parks. Neither Heller nor Bruin address that question. The historical record answers that question with a resounding yes. Time and time again, advances in weapon technology have created new weapons with dangerous new capabilities. Each time these weapons started becoming available to citizens, their presence created new social problems. These problems prompted a legislative response, including bans on possession. This evolving process, technological advancement of weapons, slow emergence into the general marketplace, blah, blah, blah. And then they say this: the Second Amendment is not a regulatory straitjacket. Rather, the historical inquiry recognizes that cases implicating unprecedented societal concerns or dramatic technological changes may require a more nuanced approach, and the regulatory challenges posed by firearms today are not always the same as those that preoccupied the founders in 1791 or the Reconstruction generation of 1868. Today, it is the AR-15s and the like, while past generations addressed weapons such as historical multi-shot firearms and trap guns. So they're saying that semi-automatic firearms are not protected by the Second Amendment because a couple of cases throughout history, the Supreme Court upheld certain restrictions or bans on specific types of firearms. Now, while I totally disagree, and that shall not be infringed actually means what it says, now you're going to start seeing dangerous and unusual more because they see that as a door that's ajar and the gun controllers want to kick that open. They believe that is their avenue to finally ban things like the AR and AK, or AR and AK style pistols, or anything else that they don't like, kind of like the weapon that was used in California when you heard that sheriff say it was an assault pistol. There's no such thing. It's just another term we're going to make up, just like assault weapon was made up by the New York Times. Now, like I said, I'll leave it linked down below, but they also use some examples of some weapons that were banned because they were unusual and dangerous, and they're trying to use that to meet the text, history, and tradition requirement. Specifically, they're using clubs and blunt weapons, and they said that in the 18th and early 19th century, specifically around 1750 to 1799, there were 6 states that banned those because they were being used to just pummel people in fights. And they also use the example that you'll see in every lawsuit looking to ban anything to try to get over that hurdle of text, history, and tradition, the trap gun. Now, in this, they also say that the ban on large capacity magazines meets the text, history, and tradition requirement because, get this, in the 1920s and the 1930s, states were banning or regulating how many shots can be in certain weapons, and they pointed to a couple states that banned some things that shot more than 5 rounds or more than 6 rounds, etc. Like I said, if you want to dig deep into that, I'll have the filing down below, but 1791 is not the 1920s or the 1930s, so that's a stretch. We'll see what this judge says, but there is a strong case by NAGR to have a preliminary injunction against the assault weapon ban and the magazine ban in Highland Park. And all eyes should be on this if you live in Illinois, especially with Pritzker's snafu stopped, although temporarily. It's a TRO, temporary restraining order, and it's only for those 860 some odd plaintiffs. But these are things that we need to utilize going forward to get these bans stopped in their place. Another thing that we should absolutely be aware of is a case here in Massachusetts where the Supreme Court destroyed Massachusetts based off of their stun gun ban. And among things, they said this, and I always have to look at the quote because I want to get it right. They said the Second Amendment extends prima facie to all instruments that constitute bearable arms, even those that were not in existence at the time of the founding. Wouldn't that cover things that I just talked about? Wouldn't that cover AR pistols, AK pistols, or the type of firearm that was used in California? What people need to focus on are the evil people that are doing these things. It's the heart and minds of men and women that go to the point of hurting people. It's not the firearm. Because of YouTube lately, I don't know if I can hold it up, but I have a rifle right here below the camera, and it hasn't gone off once during this. It's never run outside of the house to try to attack anybody, and it never will. It's the criminal that utilizes an instrument, and it doesn't have to be a gun. People have been killing each other since people were a thing. It's just the way of life, guys and gals. You cannot legislate the hearts and minds of a human being. And that's the fact at play here, not the instrument. I could do damage with this. Now, is this an assault pen? But I want you to have this information because the terminology is key. You're going to start seeing it more often. They believe this is the way. And Caetano, Heller, Bruin, McDonald, all of these things, all of these decisions, they strengthen the fact that the Second Amendment protects these arms. And now we need to get rid of the NFA. Now we need to get rid of the Hughes Amendment and stuff like that. And we'll see what happens going forward with this case here in Highland Park. If you want to stay up to date about the intricate workings behind the scenes about bans and how they're getting removed, then this is where you need to be. Guns and Gadgets brings you Second Amendment news on a daily basis, oftentimes multiple times a day. So if you want that information, subscribe to this channel down below and hit that bell icon, turn it on to all notifications so that you're supposed to be notified of when I put out new content or go live. And until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, and carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. That is what it's for. That is what they're trying to take from us. And you're going to have to ask yourself, why? I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.